And here we are today, Black Butterfly, not Black Butterfly, but Black Star. Yes, thank you, studio folks, studio producers, thank you for the correction. Black Star Still Rising, produced by your host, Stephen Black Butterfly Carter, and sponsored by the Black Star Project, the embodiment of Phillip Jackson as founder of the Black Star Group, and keeping in perspective and keeping on by Gloria Smith, the executive director of the Black Star Project. Thank you, audience, for being here today. And I've got some exciting information for you today. I'm going to wait. You see this guest we have here, and he's glad to have you here also. But I'm going to introduce him a little later on after I take care of some of the housekeeping things that I've got to get done so we don't miss anything at the end of the program, get rushed. First of all, I want to again thank Imani Payne and Rocio Santos for being the great studio producers that they are and doing all the things that they do to make me and my guests look good and come out, do the sound checks, etc. I also have to give a shout out to the executive director of CAN TV, and that's Mr. Darius Hillman, for allowing us and giving us the opportunity to produce programs that are intergenerational. And that is the body, that is the emphasis of the Black Star Group, Black Star Project, and the things that they do. And on that note, I've got to talk about a few things real quickly that we'll be having going on in the next month. I want you to get your papers, pencil and papers out. I want you to do a viva voce. Remember that. Call somebody, let them know, pass the information on. We've got some exciting information that will be coming from the guests, but a little information about coming programs at the Black Star Project that's going on this week, or coming up this week. First of all, we have Building Chicago's Next CEO. That started last Tuesday, but there might be some room for some last-minute late registrants. The number there to call for information is 733-285-9600, and this is at the Black Star office. Coming up on September 22nd, an organization or the person that where Black Star supports is Kimberly A. Lightfoot and the Kimberly Lightfoot Family Fun Day. This on the 22nd of September from noon to 2 o'clock. Guess what? It's at Brookfield Zoo. So you can get a twofer. Come out for Family Day and go watch the wild animals and the tame animals at that particular location. On September 27th, we have the Phillip Jackson Youth Development Preparation Program, and hopefully my expertise with this is such a way that I can tell you a little bit about the program. The Phillip Jackson Youth Development Program starts September 28th. The program welcomes students ages 12 to 18. Participants will engage in civic excursions with dinner provided during this period. So keep that in mind. The number again, 773-285-9600. The other program that we want to announce is the Young Black Men of Honor. Young Black Men of Honor. I'm going to give you those dates, and that's coming up on the 8th of October. 8th of October through December 10th. And if I've lost it on this, shame on me. I'll have to come up with it later on. I'm trying to get the dates. But call Black Star Project at 773-285-9600. We got the introductions out the way. Now for the major introduction, I've got to tell you that this brother is a brother on two fronts. This is my alpha brother. All right. What chapter again?
Zeta Nu chapter.
Zeta Nu chapter, Eastern Illinois
Yes.
University. We have with us today Dennis Morrison. This is our great guest, and I got to give you a little background about him because what we share is what alpha men have. We're first of all, what? Servants of all. We share what?
Transcend all.
You got it down. You got it down, and we do it. We work on working for our communities and where we are, where we live, where we work, and where we do. But a little bit different, though, with Brother Dennis here. Brother Dennis kind of wears 2 or 3 or more hats, at least a couple of hats. He is not only an entrepreneur, a businessman, a CEO, a partner in a very firm I'll tell you about a little later on, but he's a senior minister at the, what church is it?
Revival Center.
Come on.
Revival Center Church.
Say it. Tell him right.
Yeah, we're in the Auburn Gresham area.
Okay.
Providing services in
How
that
long
area.
have you been a senior minister there?
I've been there 4 years. 4
4
years as
years.
a senior pastor, yeah.
And getting better each year?
Absolutely.
Because you got a congregation that keeps you tight. They'll let you know what you should be covering,
That
what's
they
of
do.
concern to them, etc. Now, the other hat that you wear is as the CEO or managing partner. Tell us the name of the companies that you do.
Acumen Global Consulting,
Okay, that's one.
LLC, yes. And then I'm also the board chair of the Family Centered Educational Agency, which is a nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit.
And Dennis is going to tell us a little bit more about each of those things as we go along in the program. And as we talked about, first of all, servants of all-ness, we're going to talk about some of the services, or you're going to talk about the services that are offered. And I'll start talking about capacity building for nonprofits, etc., because this is one of the things that you are expertise in, and that you will expand upon. So that, again, get your pencil and paper out and take some notes. Viva voce, you're going to pass this information on to who you think will find it useful. Dennis, please.
Well, beginning with the Family Centered Educational Agency, it was actually started in 1997. And it was started because an administrator at a college that I was tenured faculty at, we began
South Suburban
College, yes.
Okay, very good, yes.
And I was tenured faculty. I was teaching psychology, and I was counselor there as well.
Well, let's go back. But you are a clinical psychologist.
Yeah, clinically trained. Yeah,
Okay.
clinically trained, and my degrees are in clinical psychology.
You got your bachelor's and your master's.
And
at Eastern.
hours towards my doctorate. I was actually 1 semester away from finishing up my doctorate, and got into a car accident and traction and all that kind of stuff, and didn't get a
So
chance
we got to
finish.
revisit that at the proper time. If you want to spend all that time working on that doctorate, you could probably do a doctor's degree with somebody else and put somebody else through
Absolutely.
a doctor's program. But go ahead and talk about that a little bit. all right?
And so we were seeing so many students that were coming into the college that were not testing well, and would end up taking remedial courses. And, after about a year of remedial courses, and those courses aren't going towards graduation, students got discouraged. And so many would drop out. And so we just talked about some of the things that we wanted to do. We both were writing grants for the college. And so we decided we were going to write grants for ourselves.
Who was we?
Jonathan McKenzie, Dr. Jonathan
Okay.
McKenzie.
All
He's one of the co-founders with me of the Family Centered Educational Agency.
Okay.
And so we decided that we wanted to, open up an organization that would help prepare students for post-secondary education, for college. And so we decided that we were going to do that, and one of us had to take a leap of faith. And so,
Were you the one that we got pushed? You jumped on your own, or what?
I jumped on my own. In fact, I was excited to. In fact, I told him one day. I called him, and I said, come over to my office. I got to show you something. And he came over, and I showed him my letter of resignation.
Wow.
And he was like,
Did you fall out? I said, what?
He was like, yeah. He's like, you leaving? I was like, not yet. I said, but when the time comes, the
gonna
letter's
jump
already
on it.
written.
Okay.
I said,
You just got to date it. Then,
That's
right?
it. That's it. So I when the time came, I went before the board of South Suburban College. I resigned my tenure and let them know what we were going to be doing. And we actually feed them, and as well as other 4-year universities and 2-year universities, because we have around 10 TRIO programs that we run, Upward Bound, Talent Search, programs like that.
Upward Bound has been around for a while.
Oh, yeah, for a while, yeah.
Cy Purnell and those folks
absolutely.
there. Yeah, right.
Dr. McKenzie and my mentor, so he was one of our mentors. So Silas Purnell sent a lot of kids to school.
Right.
And so we have about 10 programs that we administer between Illinois and Texas. So we're in the Chicagoland area, and we're also in the Corpus Christi
Are
area.
you saying
of
you're
Texas.
big enough to have officers in Chicago and Texas?
Yeah,
so you some big time folks.
Our budget's right around about
Knock me off my seat.
almost $4 million a year.
Okay.
We manage those federal grants well, and our young people are now old enough that many have gone to school, graduated, got advanced degrees, and come back and work for us. So that's the blessing of being able to, know that you did the right thing, and that even all of the sacrifices that you made, losses that you went through, things that you ended up, having to deal with that you wouldn't have had you, just stayed in that position and said, you know what, I'm not going to worry about anybody but myself and my family, that you wouldn't have had to go through, but you did it, and you realized that it was worth it all because you were helping families, first generation college students and low income families to be able to go and send their children to school.
Do you bring some of them in as interns during summer vacations or whatever?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We actually, with Upward Bound, you're able to actually prepare students for post-secondary education. So that means during the summer, we actually hire teachers. We teach languages, Spanish, French. We teach math, science, biology, chemistry,
You can make Renaissance
robotics.
men and women out of there.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're working on preparing them for post-secondary education so they can be successful, because we don't want them to be just skimming by. We want them to be successful, and that's the key.
Well, one of the things that excited me when we first started talking, you're sharing about is we started with capacity building and things for nonprofit organizations. Can you expound upon that a little bit and tell us why for nonprofit organizations that the organizational things? I'll let you go on from capacity building on.
The one thing about capacity building, it's kind of like when you think about when we first started, we didn't just jump into it. We did a lot of research. We had a lot of lunches with a lot of nonprofit individuals. We had some specific individuals who were, even a part of our family who, ran large nonprofits. And we sat down with them, we learned, and we realized that there was a lot that we did not know. And one of the things that you find in most nonprofits, you find a founder who is passionate about what they love
Go ahead,
to
talk
do.
now. I know where you're going with
And
this.
so
Yes, go ahead.
you have people who are passionate about our youth. You have people who are passionate about the homeless. You have people who are passionate, and that passion, exudes in their work and the things that they want to do and the ideas that they have, and they have wonderful ideas. But the
It's
problem,
the other thing. Go ahead with it.
absolutely,
All
the
right.
problem is that many of them don't know all of the ins and outs of running successfully a nonprofit.
A passion is not enough to make a business successful? You
No,
just can't
passion's
be
not
going,
enough. That's
tell
not
us
it.
what else has to happen.
You
Talk
have got
to
to
them.
understand.
Talk to the audience.
You've
all
got
right?
to understand that there are other areas that need to be built up. When you start talking about actually growing, you need a great board, because you need a board that has experience. You need a board that is professional. And most of the time you may start off with family members and things of that nature, but you should not stay with that model, forever.
Do you need somebody to put in the money?
You need somebody
To bring
who can
somebody.
open doors,
That's right.
Because board
Resources.
members' job, the board members' jobs are to open doors for the CEO or the executive director to be able to have access to resources and funds, both public and private, but especially private donors, individuals that they may know who are wealthy or have great passion for the same type of strategic focus.
They just need some place for their passion, their interest
Absolutely.
to be focused.
That's it.
Talk about the grant writing. Talk about some of the things that your company does.
Okay.
So the organization that you belong to do.
Well, one of the things that we do is we help organizations to build capacity, like we said, and the grant writing is a part of that.
Grant writing? Okay.
So we do help develop federal proposals. We mostly work on federal proposals.
Do you do workshops or anything like that?
We do some workshops, we do some conferences, and that's so that we can be able to touch those who may not be able to afford our services. And so
you guys charge you a moneymaker. You gotta make. You told me something about non-profit doesn't mean that you can't.
No,
go ahead.
Doesn't mean that you can't. Doesn't mean you can't make money, and it doesn't mean you can't have money. But I mean, when you start talking about capacity building, like for example, your foundations have a term that they use. It's called capital absorption.
Oh, you use that big. Break that down.
And capital absorption means that a foundation may start you off with. They may say, okay, well, we'll give you $15,000. We'll see how you handle it. And then then they'll give you the next time. They may give you 25, and then they may give you 50 or 75 the next time, and then 100. Well, what they're trying to see is where you are in your capacity. Are you able to handle those dollars and successfully spend them exactly where you said you were going to do it?
They got line items that they will monitor, they will check you to see whether you checked all the boxes.
Absolutely. Okay. And so your capacity has to build along with your funding. And so a lot of times, founders don't know, you need, first of all, like I said, you need a good board. You need good bylaws because the IRS are going to hold you accountable to what those bylaws say.
Looking down there at the microscope.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. And so, you also need a strategic plan. You need a plan that talks about the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats, what your competitive edge is, what makes you different than other nonprofits who are doing some of the same things that you're doing. And so you need those things. You need executive coaching. That CEO, that executive director, they need to be able to have someone that they can talk to. The Bible says that, with a multitude of counselors, there is safety. So you need a multitude of counselors.
Too many cooks spoil the broth, right?
No, you need a multitude of counselors. You're gonna be a CEO of a nonprofit in America. So
we got to jump ahead on one part of this. I'm going to jump. We're going to miss some in the middle.
Yeah.
But succession building. Can you talk about succession building, not just for nonprofits, but businesses that you counsel, that you are consultants for? Talk about that. Especially family-owned businesses.
Absolutely. My model is without a successor, there's no success.
Okay.
So
I hear you.
You have to have a succession plan. Nobody really wants. That's why many of us we end up finding that people don't have what they need in place to be able to be buried or
that's
raising money.
Plan.
That's a succession plan. And we don't like talking about leaving here. We do not like talking about that. But
everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to die. But you have to have a succession plan. There is no success without a successor. And so you have to have someone who you have been building up, training, and exposing to the various things that need to be that they need to be exposed to in order for them to grow into that next successor and be successful in taking the organization into a new era.
I'm going to take you down another road.
Okay.
Same road in a way. But how do you collaborate your pastoral growth or pastoral duties, pastoral mission with the business and business enterprise? How have you collaborated on that over the years? How'd you jump into it from being an entrepreneur to being a pastor? That's an interesting story. You got to tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I did not jump into it. I was
screaming?
called into it.
You were called?
I was called into
Kicking
it.
and screaming or what?
I probably was doing a little kicking and screaming in the beginning because it was not my plan. I had other plans.
But the Lord had other plans for you.
Yeah, He had other plans.
He had some options for you to look. You can go with me or you can go with the hoi polloi.
Absolutely. He's like, I was talking this last Sunday about how when in Luke 5 verses 1 through 11 it was talking about.
I told you folks to write these down now. Okay, go ahead. Repeat that. Tell them Luke 5 what?
Verses 1 through 11 it talks about how Jesus was being pressed by the crowd and how Peter and James and John had a night of failure. and they were washing their nets.
Oh, they washing. They were not
washing their
carousing
nets.
or nothing like that, right?
No, they just had been fishing and they had been a failure. They had failed. They hadn't caught anything. And so Jesus stepped into the boat, asked Simon, push off from the shore because the people were pressing and wanted to hear the word of God. And so
Wait a minute, was that boat his first pulpit? That's what you told me. I'm using your word.
Right. That was the name. That was the title. When that boat becomes a pulpit. So it was an encounter, and it was an encounter where Peter, James, and John, they thought that they were going to probably die as fishermen. It was a family business,
yeah.
And so, but what they found out was that the purpose that God had for them was to be fishers of men, and so it was a paradigm shift. You thought you were going to be a fisherman,
right?
Now I want you to be an apostle.
Somebody zagged on you. Huh?
Yeah. Okay. I want you to be an apostle, and so that's what happened with me. I thought that I was going to move in a totally different direction, and in business, and because I told the Lord, I don't have to preach. I don't have to. I'm going to be a good deacon, and you bless my business. I'm going to pay more than 10%. I pay more than 10%. And just bless my business. But God was like, no, that's not my plan.
You have one exciting story you told me offline about this work in San Joaquin Valley.
San Joaquin Valley, yeah.
In California. Tell us a little bit about that, because it has such impact on even what's going to be debated about tonight, the climate, things like that.
Absolutely.
And what is happening. Tell us a little bit about that project.
I got pulled into a project on the West Coast, and at the time, I really did not understand the significance of it. The project is working with some nonprofits, foundations, and CBOs out there that are working to reverse some things that are going on in the San Joaquin Valley. Mm-hmm. And, the issue is an issue of climate change. It's an issue that is important, and it's important to everyone, even those who are listening to this show. And the reason why is because 25% of all fruits and vegetables for the country come from the San Joaquin Valley.
25% from one area of the United States in California comes from that is so significant.
Yes, and it feeds the world as well. So, and the problem is they're having record successive days of 3-digit heat. And it's not because of cars, and it's not because of trucks, the CO2 from that. I mean, of course it contributes, but what they're having is a problem with a phenomenon called subsidence. And basically
subsidence. Okay, go ahead.
And basically it means that the soil is collapsing, and it's collapsing because it's losing the underground water, it's losing its microbiome.
You became a geologist.
Yeah, you have.
But going out there in the job, you pick up a lot of skill sets.
You pick up a lot of skill sets.
Okay.
One of the things about people don't realize about grant writing is that you don't always know what your client does. But what you have to do is you have to be able to have a very short ability to get up to speed quickly, and you have to learn about what they do, and then you have to be able to articulate it better than them.
I gotta get you into one other area that I think is important for tonight. Even you talked about freedom and the double-edged sword of freedom, and I know that it's been in the conversation of one of the candidates that'll be on the stage tonight. But you said freedom is. You didn't say it's not free. But you said something goes with that freedom. You recall that conversation?
Yeah, we talked about the fact that one of the best things about America is our freedom,
right? And
one of the worst things about America.
That's it. That's how you put it. Best and the worst.
And basically, especially when you start thinking about foreign entities having influence and the ability to basically buy whatever they want in our country, when in many countries, if you don't have, say for example, one of my good friends wanted to open a business in India. In order for him to open a business in India, he had to have an Indian business partner. And we don't make those types of stipulations in America. You can come here, you can buy land, if you got the money, you can do pretty much what you want.
Is that America's being bought by certain international companies
Yes.
that don't have a feel for any neighborhood.
No.
They might have big money and have put business into place, but they don't have a sense, a feel for the community.
Nor an investment
Yes,
in the community.
nor an investment.
You know, if you think about, I think about when I lived over east off 95th Street. I used to take my children to school, and many times I used to take the Indiana Toll Road. And, you know, we found out that our Indiana, the toll road was sold to a foreign company.
Doesn't make sense to me.
And you know,
Go ahead.
and so it was sold to a foreign company. Well,
Yeah.
guess what happened? As soon as it was sold, the first thing that happened was the tolls began to increase
Yes,
exponentially.
yes, right.
And
No accountability in the community.
None. No,
Yes.
no accountability to those who are, you know, going back and forth to work and are on a budget and really don't have the resources to be able, you know, to afford having to pay $10, $15 a day just to go back and forth to work. And so,
Unfortunately, guess what? Didn't that 25 minutes go fast? I'm supposed to be wrapping up, and I better start invite you back for another session.
Okay.
Can you come back here? We're wrapping up today. We have with us Reverend Senior Pastor, Reverend Dennis Morrison. My frat brother, thank you. First of all, servants of all,
Yes.
we shall transcend
Yes,
all, right?
yes,
And
yes.
we ask you to get involved. Be involved with your parish, with your church, with your organization, but be involved.
yes.
Thank you for joining us here today.